Hey guys, it's Joe and Justin with VMP Tuning Tuesday. Is this episode 54? 55. Damn, it's flying by. Justin's coffee is probably going to get a little cold here. He's in Ireland, but he's here in spirit, as you can see. I'm going to leave my phone on sound on today, so all you guys get the excitement of Justin's phone ringing, but it said it's my phone. What happened last week? Last week was PRI. I don't know how many of you on here were at PRI or went to PRI or saw any of the things at PRI, but PRI was pretty interesting. We did the Wednesday loadout. Donnie drove up there. Thursday was the first day of the show. Very busy. Friday was very busy. Joey and I, one of the guys from sales, handles most of the dealer stuff, but also does retail sales. We left Friday night, got home about 1 in the morning. Don't want to talk too much about me. I'd rather answer questions for you guys. So if you guys have any questions about race car stuff, non-race car stuff.
I have a question. What's the best bump box for 11 to 14 cars? I have a TH400. I've heard the smooth stage device is decent.
I would not know. I don't have very much experience with bump boxes. Most of the stuff I do is blower, naturally aspirated, or a little bit of Century and an even smaller bit of turbo.
So Melvin Vega said, hi there, Joe.
Hello.
Bry2K TV says, first one on, I think. Dame Walt says, what's up?
Mm-hmm.
Mad Max says, hello, ha.
I actually think I have a message from Dame Walt that I haven't responded to yet.
Luby says, hello. Janssen50 says, yellow from Saskatchewan, Canada. Thanks for a great show.
Man.
Slapjack says, hey Joe, is Justin on a low-carb diet?
He is. His head's getting a little smaller too.
Mike chimed in,
knocked
says,
his ego down.
the Justin cutout and coffee are hilarious. Mustang
I think
says,
he's a little crooked. I'm gonna fix him.
Justin Mick, a.k.a. Thunder Biscuit, how y'all doing?
How's it going?
Bubba Blue says, laugh my ass off. Where's the other dude today?
Justin's in Ireland, for those that aren't friends with Justin on Facebook. There's a hair that does not look like mine on here. It's very suspicious.
Mustang says, max timing for E55, 800 to the wheel, TVS Coyote Gen2.
800 wheel, you could run, if you want to get stupid, you could run 24, 25. I prefer a safe limit of around 23. If it's stock bottom end, 22, 23.
Coyote Gen2.
Carrie's hitting buttons back there.
You could run.
Sorry.
If you want to get stupid, you could
It's okay, I'll wait.
25.
I'm trying to...
First aid.
Sorry, I maximized the screen and it did that.
It happens.
Sorry.
Tiny Justin's offended though.
Tiny Justin's offended. Eli says, is Justin flexing? He must work out.
He is flexing them eyebrows.
Lauren Man says, you shrunk Justin.
Mm-hmm. He's so small today.
JNTX says, here, better late than never. Nice. Joe says, hello from Oregon. Peyton says, any plans to get a Mustang in the future, Joe?
I have a Mustang.
Chris says, what is DA and how does it affect horsepower on the track?
Density, altitude, it's essentially a culmination of a couple of factors. The biggest factors are going to be your water grains, your barometric pressure, and the air temperature. Essentially, what that equates to is the amount of air molecules per specified volume. So like at higher altitudes or lower pressures, you get less oxygen molecules per specified volume. So we'll call it like per square inch, you have a lower density of oxygen molecules in the air than you do at a higher pressure or a lower altitude. So you get more bang for the same amount of air.
Kelsey Wade says stock 17 Roush, nightmare. Crew cab 4x4 ran 857 on the 8th with a 2.0 60 foot leaving at 1200 RPM. How hard would it be to break the high 11s quarter mile? I want to avoid breaking anything as much as possible.
With some 93 and BOOSTane and a tune from us, it shouldn't be too hard to break into the 11s in the quarter. But with a setup like that, I really need to know like what elevation you're at, what the DA was when you ran the 858 in the 8th, because I think that transferred like a 12.2, 12.3. Just going off rough math, I want to say to be even higher. So you're probably on the stock tune on the Roush Nightmare, which has a speed limiter of, I think it's 104 miles an hour. So you may be on that speed limiter when you're going through the traps, depending on what you're trapping. But yeah, I mean, Justin's truck is, or I should say was, VMP Gen2R, and it had no problems running high 11s with 93 and some BOOSTane, and even sometimes just 93, depending on how much boost we were running at the time.
Matt Coates is saying hey.
What's up, Matt?
Kelsey.
You must be up late today, or up really early, I should say.
Kelsey is saying hey from Dallas.
Hola.
Eric Perez says, switching to E85 soon, but my question is, do you think I should keep a couple of cans of VP Racing C85 for those Mexico track nights to be safe, or is the pump E85 enough as long as I test it?
I wouldn't even say testing is absolutely necessary, although it's a very good idea to do. If you're going to be running out on the streets of Mexico, I'd say run the C85, just because if you, like let's say you're in a Midwest area and you get E70, your car is going to be a little bit rich on E70. If it's 11 to 17, it will trim to correct fueling, but you're going to start off at a richer than desired condition until it trims it out, usually within a couple tenths of a second. So as long as you don't go open loop at wide open throttle, or as long as your O2 sensors stay correcting the fuel trims, you shouldn't have an issue running E70, and the amount of timing it takes on E70 shouldn't be much different from E85. But if you're wanting the consistency of C85 to know that your fueling is going to be accurate, to know that it's going to tolerate the timing that's being called out in your tune, then I'd say that for those special occasions where you're running out in Mexico, running C85 would be a good idea.
Matt Coates says it's 5:45 a.m. mate in Sydney today.
Oh man, are you still on U.S. time with all your adventures in the United States as of recent?
Bry2K TV says, what's a good torque converter to use in my 17 Mustang GT automatic with 2.3 liter Roush and VMP 69 millimeter pulley? I have the stock, but I'm not sure if it would hold up.
We never really had durability issues with our torque converter on the red S550 that Alex now owns. But most of the guys that I do tunes for that have an aftermarket converter are running a Circle D2C or a 1C converter. I know that we're doing more with FTI. I haven't seen too many orders for blower converter upgrades come in though, so until then, we shall see.
Jay wants to know, with our tuning Sai Li's return system on E85, why does it take a couple key crank cycles before it starts?
I would say that if it takes a couple key cycles to get the car started, to message us and let us know.
He said that it's just a 6 is having the same type of issue, so.
In reference to just a 6, I told him to let me know if he had any issues with cranking, and he has not, so can't fix a problem that I don't know is there.
Josh Stroker says, so what's it going to take to do wheelies in my 13 GT500? I've been asking, but nobody takes my questions seriously.
Add a ton of power and a really sticky tire, or completely screw up the suspension geometry and get your shock settings all wrong. Or right, depending on if that's your goal.
It depends on end goal, yeah.
Yeah.
Peyton Lucas, who asked if when you were getting a Mustang, I knew this was going to come. What Mustang do you have, and what are your plans for it?
I have a 96 GT, and my plan is to sell it.
Robert says, hello, Joe from Texas. Got a 2012 GT500 stock blower. Would a 2.5 upper and 10% lower be too much for pump 93? Also, when I go to a Gen2R, would it be too much for it then?
A 2.5 and a 10% on pump 93 on a 12 GT500 with a Gen2R is an aggressive setup. It's something I'd rather see with a booster. A 2.5 and a 10% on 93 with the stock blower isn't too aggressive from an octane standpoint. It's just from the standpoint of you're spinning the stock blower really hard, and it generally starts making quite a bit of heat at those pulley drive speeds.
Bubba Blue says, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm going for a ported 18 manifold for my 12 GT. What can I expect to knock off my quarter? I'm at 12.79 right now.
Based on our experience, not a whole lot, but that's stuff that we'll be coming out with here soon.
Slab Shack says, is the white 13 GT500 on your channel? Ours, and we talk about it?
There's two white GT500s on our channel. One has red stripes, one has no stripes. Neither of them are ours. We can talk about either. I just need to know which one you want to know about.
Mad Max says, I have a 16 GT with Roush TVS on 75 millimeter pulley with BOOSTane. Want to know how much horsepower will I pick up with the Gen3 82 millimeter pulley with BOOSTane?
I actually have a dynograph that's basically, I want to say it was a 79 millimeter pulley on Gen2R and a 82 or 85 millimeter pulley on Gen3, but it was about 40 horsepower.
Melvin says, what kind of numbers can I make with the Gen2R on the Gen1 Coyote 6R80 and ID1000s? 67 millimeter twin throttle body and fuel pump booster.
Depending on fuel and how hard you're willing to push it, anywhere from 600 wheel to 900 wheel.
Peyton says, do you tune cars differently depending on if it's going to be used for drag racing or road racing?
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. It depends entirely upon what the customer asks for.
James says, do the Roush blowers have optional larger throttle bodies?
They do not.
James also says, I just bought an 18 to which your company is sending out a smaller 2.7 pulley this week.
Nice, nice. I know we've gotten a few orders for those 18 up Roush pulleys.
Steve Hall, regular, says, hi, Carrie, Joe, and everyone else. So, hi, everybody.
Hola.
And we will just say D's.
Him again.
Yeah. So, D's says 14 GT 6R80, Cobra Jet intake, VMP Twin 67, JLT, cold air, off-road H-pipe, and VMP tune on 91 octane. How much horsepower do you think that makes?
A 91 octane, 430, if it's manual.
Matt Coates came back and says, sure am. Crank support messages keep me busy. GT500 planning and design also.
Awesome. Sounds good, Matt.
James Thomas Clark says the F-150 unit has a small single throttle body. I don't think it fits.
What? Don't think what fits?
I'm not sure. Let me see here.
Is he referring-
Joey's in there talking. So
Okay.
Joey's talking to him. Sorry.
It's all good.
It makes it. Annette says, hi, planning on putting a Boss 302 intake on my 2012 GT Auto. I have your 93 to 91 tunes. How much low-end torque will I lose seeing how this is auto with stock converter?
10 to 15 pound-feet below 3,000 RPM.
Jansen50 says, what are the best Gen 2 or Gen 3 parts to put into a Gen 1 motor? Long tube headers worth it on a NA motor?
Whether or not long tube headers are worth it on an NA motor depends on what you're justifying dollar per horsepower wise and and if sound is part of that target for you. If you want sound and like 10 horsepower, throw long tubes on the car. If you're not cool with spending that, whatever you spend on the headers, whether you go Speed Daddy or nice set of Cooks, whatever dollar amount that is, if that's not worth 10 horsepower and the sound to you, then don't bother buying them. And then what was his other question?
I don't remember now. Hold on.
Justin's quiet today.
That, you know, it's funny that you said that because I just received that here on YouTube. Someone
He's not
was
answering
saying.
questions today. His coffee must still be full.
Joe says, he goes, I have an 87 Fox body and thinking about selling it as well.
Hot damn.
Robert says, thank you so much. As always, everyone rocks.
Awesome, awesome.
Lance wants to know, will the plug-and-play fuel pump booster work with the 2018 F-150?
Have not tried it on an 18 yet. I know that it works on 17 F-150.
Mike says, Justin is being pretty quiet today.
Yeah, although we have used it on an 18 Mustang, so as long as the connector is the same, it should work.
Bubba Blue says, thanks. Last question. In my 2012, do I need to change the fuel lines when going E55? I hear yes and no. Y'all seem to be the Mustang gurus.
If he asked a question before, did he say if it was a GT500 or a 5-liter? I guess at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. No, you don't have to. Is it something that's not a bad idea? Yeah, it's not a bad idea, but when you're talking about fuel flow at 55 to 75 PSI, or if your GT500 is as low as 40, the amount of fuel flow you can get through a 3/8 line at or even a 5/16 or 7/16 line isn't really all that much lower than a Dash 8 AN. And in terms of that, I mean that you're not going to find a restriction at the line at like
GT,
below 1200 horsepower levels. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when you do that, you usually use you can use an adapter to get it up to a regulator up at the rail and then send it back on like a Dash 6 or a Dash 8. But at that point, like just run a line because you have to run a line anyways. But your call at the end of the day.
Mustang GT says, I recently had a Boss 302 intake installed on my 13 GT50. I have the code PO175, which is system too rich. Do you know what could be the issue? Is it the tune?
I don't know.
Mike says a 3.2 Kenne Bell versus, I always get a kick out of these questions, versus our Gen 3, 16 GT, 3.73 gears, wanting to sit at 700 to the wheel for a year before upping to 900. Any reasons to go with the slightly more expensive VMP blower?
Your call at the end of the day. With both our power adder and Kenne Bell's, with 373 gears, that car's going to be stupid to drive. I'd recommend going to like a 331 or 315 rear gear, depending on what transmission you're running.
I am currently tuned through Bama. I had requested a revised tune and it's been 2 weeks and I'm still waiting. I'm planning on switching to VMP.
Sweet.
Nick says, I have a 14 F-150 Coyote with Mustang cam swapped into a Fox. Going to be putting on a 2.3 liter VMP with
It's begun. My phone's ringing now. 863. Spam. Bye.
Okay, Justin.
Yeah.
Was that Justin's phone?
No, that's my phone, but it may as well have been Justin's phone. I'll just set it in front of Justin.
Incoming. Going to be putting on a 2.3 liter VMP with 82 and 72 pulley. Looking to upgrade my balancer. Wanted to know what are the benefits of an overdrive would be, or just a stock size ATI.
If you're not running anything other than 93, I'd just recommend running a stock size ATI. Because then you can still run pretty small upper pulleys without having to get too crazy on boost.
Alexander with Shelby Canada West says hi to everybody.
Hola,
And also says Justin Prop is pretty detailed.
It is. It's very detailed. You really need to move his coffee closer because he's a little quiet today.
Chad Dowd says Justin appears to be coming up a little short today.
What you did, Sarah, I can see it.
Larry says, for 7 to 750 to the wheel, is it worth going to a 148 intake, millimeter intake versus using the 123 millimeter intake on a GT500?
My opinion, no.
Sorry if this has been asked. How much horsepower can I expect on a 13 GT with the VMP Gen2 Stage 2 kit and an 85 millimeter pulley on 91 octane?
6 on 93 octane. It's really going to depend on how happy, or on 91 octane. It's really going to depend on how happy your 91 octane is. I'd say as low as 600, 620, as high as 630, 650, somewhere in that range.
So Dave Murdoch says he's trying to get to 800 to the wheel, but he says I will make 800 to the wheel. But he says on 75 millimeter pulley, stock airbox, 737 wheel, middle of summer. Next Tuesday, we're putting a 69 millimeter on it. VMP belt tensioner. Also have JLT cold air now, using straight 110. He says, will I make 800 to the wheel?
We'll see, Dave. We'll see. We know how your car is anyways. So clean.
Genio says, if I put an aftermarket track on my 18 GT automatic, will it make it faster?
Aftermarket track?
Tack.
Yes, it will, by approximately 40 horsepower. But you have to drill it directly into the dash with sheet metal screws.
Janssen50 says NA14 GT 6R80 with Circle D 4C and full bolt-ons. 331 rear gear worth keeping, or would a steeper gear benefit quarter mile times?
With the size of your converter, I don't know that a gear will benefit you too much. It really depends on how hard your converters, or how high your converter's flashing. If it's flashing to like a 5500, $6,000, I don't know that going to a taller gear is going to help you out a whole lot on the big end of the track.
Gustavo says, are you guys making a VMP supercharger for the 18 to 19 Mustang GT?
We are. Justin's been telling people expected first quarter of 19, maybe mid 19.
Clint says, GT500, is there a need to upgrade actual supercharger belt?
Other than making sure it's the correct size, I don't see a need to upgrade belt to anything fancy.
We already said that. Roush 727 wants to know, are you doing any discounts on the 767 kit for 17 Roush TVS blower?
I do not know. You'd have to call sales and support or email sales and support. I'm out of the loop on that stuff. But while we're at a little pause here, like, share, and subscribe. I know that I'm not nearly as exciting as Justin, but I think we're answering more questions today.
Yeah, everybody, if you like the show and you like our Justin prop, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. I'm not seeing the love on Facebook at all, so that way we can keep offering these shows to you guys.
It looks like Justin's a 1 1/16 wrench.
Yeah.
Trivia question: What is a 1 1/16 wrench on a Cobra good for? 0304 Cobra specifically.
Speaking.
Bum, bum.
Oh, I'm getting angry faces. Why am I getting angry faces?
Sad faces?
No, mad.
faces?
Like people are mad.
They're mad that Justin's not here.
Is
Or
that what
wait,
it is?
sorry, Justin.
I'm starting to get the love and,
Mhm.
and some likes, but I don't know why I get the mad faces. Anthony Lucero says, Joe, hey, car's
Tony?
still running great.
Awesome. Good to hear, buddy.
People are saying EGR.
Man, they're so good. Wasn't sure how many Cobras we'd have on here.
Yeah, Chad Dowd said it first, and then Keegan Daly.
Nice. Nice.
Uh,
Cobras everywhere.
Cameron came in and guessed crank pulley, headlight adjuster.
I like it.
Someone else said axle nut, but EGR.
Nice, nice, nice.
Oh, there's something new holding that just showed up on YouTube. Sorry. Follow-up question for you. Looking to get close to 700 of the wheel on my 17 GT Roush Phase 2 on 93 pump. Go with the 767 kit or swap to the Gen 3. Elevation up in New Jersey is 200 feet.
I would say on 93, that isn't going to be an easy target to hit unless you have good 93. I would say go with Gen 3. I've never seen a Roush car on 93 dyno at 700 wheel. At least not on a dyno jet.
Jeremy, nobody's avoiding any questions. I'm just going in the order that I'm getting them. Jeremy wants to know about track times for Cobras. He hasn't seen any. Jeremy, we are actually pulling together some information and we'll be putting a video together showing track times with multiple Cobras that are being out there racing and whatnot. So just be patient with us. We will get that information out there so that way you Cobra guys have it.
The Cobra criers. Make a 2650 for Cobra. Make a 2650 for Cobra. Oh, we're at track times. We need proof that this is actually a better blower. And it's like,
yeah.
guys.
I mean, it's like, I understand.
I don't.
I understand that.
I don't.
You know, that, but it's every week it's the same thing and we're
Yeah.
working on it. We're working on it.
That and talk to the people at the bottom, not us. It's not our job to get you track times on a blower that we made for Cobra people and the Cobra people aren't taking it to tracks. Sorry. Not sorry.
Rob says, thanks for the info. Shout out from Ohio. Topper Harley says, not going to lie, Justin's looking a little stiff today.
He is. He hasn't moved an inch. I should probably move him over. Make sure he's still alive.
Nathan93 wants to know, what's the benefit of the 170-degree thermostat versus stock?
That you have a lower starting point for engine coolant temperature when you're doing wide open throttle pulls.
Bubba Blue says, thanks y'all, got to get back to work now. We should all make our own YouTube channels. We'd have entertaining content.
Later, Bubba
have a
Blue.
great day, you too, Carrie. Thanks, Bubba. Have a great day. God, I hate to see what would be on some of our YouTube contents if we were to do that.
Oh, man. Mine would be very monotone and dry.
Yeah, but it would still be funny.
It'd be like Shagor from No Country for Older Men. Bonus points to those that can call out a certain scene.
Mark Oliver Horse says, hey, Justin, bought an 8-rib kit with 15% lower for S550. Will the original 8-rib belt that comes with a standard 5% kit fit? And what pulley sizes will support it before I go on to a different length belt? Also got the HD tensioner. So, Justin, would you like to respond?
I think Justin said email him.
I think there's dead silence.
Yeah, he does not look amused.
With that said, you want to answer?
What size upper pulley did he say?
He said 8-rib belt, 8-rib kit with 15% lower for S550. Will the original 8-rib belt that comes with the standard 5% kit fit? And what pulley sizes will it support before I go to different length belt? Also the HD tensioner.
To be honest, I don't know. Contact sales and support on that one. I don't know what belt they're including with the 15% kit or 5% kit.
Okay. Hold on one second while I grab those. Will I see any change with the 69 TwinJet on a Gen 3 compared to a 67 TwinJet? If yes, how much horsepower?
Depends on what your setup is. Did he say what size pulley he's running or what blower? If you're on a what I'll call low boost setup, 10 to 11 pounds, wouldn't anticipate any more than 5 horsepower. If you're on a setup that is more aggressive, like 15, 16 pounds, probably 10, 15 horsepower. The main reason we made the Twin 69 was for the ability to create a completely new throttle body that works with the stock S550 electronics, both 15 to 17, and we're doing the testing on the 18, 19 one now.
Sweet. Topper says, in his opinion, green belts are a lot less slip in his experience. Do you want to upgrade?
Okay.
Yes. Difference between Twin 67, well, difference between Twin 65 millimeter to a 67 millimeter twin on the Gen 2R.
You're looking at like 10 horsepower at lower boost, 20 horsepower at higher boost. I'd say probably closer to 15 horsepower and higher boost.
Bubba Blue said that that wrench is good for tightening the bolts of GM tears.
I think he meant tears.
Oh, is it tears?
I don't know. I can't see it.
Yeah, maybe. Joe, want to take a vacation to Phoenix and help me install my Roush blower after Christmas? Haha, thank you for all the info and answers to our questions. He really appreciates it.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. But I will not take you up on that offer.
Will the VMP Gen3 fit on a Roush lower intake?
It does.
Right, that already came through.
Should I start answering the questions like Jeopardy, where I have to like phrase it in such a way that I'm stating the question and stating the answer?
I know, right?
That way the people that didn't hear the question can hear the question and the answer.
If my 07 GT500 fuel pressure stock pump with Kenne Bell fuel pump booster is dropping to 17 psi at watt, is my Kenne Bell BAP going bad? Should I upgrade to the VMP plug and play?
It's not necessarily that the booster pump is going bad, it's just that you're surpassing the flow potential of the pump. So if you check the output wire of the Kenne Bell booster pump and you're sitting between like 16 and 19 volts depending on where you have it set, as long as you're in between that 16 19 volts in the output of the booster and into the input of the FPDM or however you have it wired, you're not, it isn't necessarily that the booster pump's defective, it's that everything has a limit, and even a setup that is a booster with stock pumps on a gasoline-based fuel still has a limit, and there's still that point at which you'll start dropping fuel pressure. And regardless of what's happening, you're at that limit. So as long as you can confirm that your Kenne Bell booster pump is still outputting voltage correctly or amplifying voltage correctly, then the only relationship you can draw there is that even with the booster and the stock pumps, you're running into a flow potential issue with that pump setup.
Ryan says on a GT500 on 17 pounds with 16 degrees of timing, the car is FBO. Roughly how much power will your revised tune with BOOSTane get me? Thanks, guys and gal.
It depends on what you're bumping up with BOOSTane. If you're bumping up 91 and you tell us you're going to be running like a 98 tune, then we could probably get 20-30 horsepower to the setup. If you're going to be doing 93 and you're at 16 degrees now and you're bumping up to maybe what we'll call 100 or 102 octane, you probably get 30 horsepower out of it pretty easy. Justin.
Are you shaking him?
Yeah, I have to make sure he's alive. Almost looks like, oh no, someone cut into his face. Poor Justin.
Yeah, Joey had a moment with Justin.
Joey missed. I will cut you.
He was trying to put an ear adapter on him.
Oh, a PLT Legend headset?
Yeah, he was trying to put a little headset on him, and
Oh, man.
it didn't quite work.
It was too
Poor
heavy for the
Justin.
paper or something? Oh, sad.
Deleting variable timing on a 1350, twin turbo setup on an auto 6-speed. I don't see, there's not a question there. Nick Matthews says on an 0304 Cobra, 2.3 liter, does the IAT2 read a little hotter? I've read about milling down where it sits.
I think he's referring to an 0304 Cobra with our blower, and it'd be one of the older head units. If you mill down the area where the IAT2 sensor sits, you'll get more protrusion into airflow, and in theory, it'll show a lower IAT2 temp once it's in that area.
Joe says, Joe, you do look like you love doing this Q&A.
I try, guys. I try. I have a really bad case of resting bitch face, and then questions that I hear every week kind of build.
Here's the thing about Joe is always serious Joe, regardless. This is what you see up here is what you get.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, Joe comes out with a quip that you just don't expect, and it just makes you die. But what you see is what you get. This is just Joe.
Yep.
Unless you bring the gifts of chocolate milk.
Yeah, chocolate milk.
Bring
makes me
Joe
happy.
chocolate milk. If you want something, bring chocolate milk. He will be your
If
buddy.
you really
boy.
want something, bring it by the gallon, winky face.
Exactly. Stock up our fridge with chocolate milk, and
Oh, man.
and you would be on Joe's good terms.
That
let
or
me tell
bar
you.
engines.
Douglas says, I'm looking into doing a similar setup as the gray 13 GT500 video that Justin put out.
Yeah, Jason Spina's car.
The only difference is I want to go E85. Do I need a bigger injector or something more than your booster pump? And
If you're going E85, your potential for what you can do with that setup is going to be higher. So I would say go to a bigger injector, like an ID1300, because the Gen 3 has the potential to make over 1,000 horsepower without really trying entirely too hard. So I would give yourself that headroom on the first hit, because if you buy ID1000s, you're looking at $1,000. If you buy ID1300s, I want to say the $1,300. I could be wrong there. There might be $1,700. I know there's a pretty big jump between the ID1000s or the ID1050Xs and the ID1300s. But with the power potential of the blower, I'd try and match that with the injector and throw an ID1300 in it.
okay, Jonathan Whitaker. He's yelling at me.
Why is he yelling at
He's
me?
in all caps.
Whitaker.
He's like, "Hi, Joseph."
Hi, Don.
Joseph.
Joseph.
Well, there's no A on the end, but it's JOESPH.
Yeah, the H and Hefe.
Okay.
Josefe.
He says he wants a Joseph. He wants a rematch with your truck in the old Fox.
Oh man, I'm down. I'm always down for a good time. For those that don't know, we raced. It was fun. There's a video of it somewhere. John posted it to my
When did you
my
race?
timeline actually.
Recently?
We went to a Sunday fun day.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I only made one pass.
Did he have the Gen 3 on it?
Yeah,
On
he
his
had the
Fox
Gen
at
3
that
on his
point,
car.
right?
Yep. Chris has a video. You just got to trim all the.
Trim the fat?
Yeah, trim the fat, get all the naked guys out of there, and it
Oh.
was a real fun day Sunday, right, guys?
I'm not so sure I want to see all that.
I do.
Oh, bet your ass you do.
Jensen50 says swapping a Gen 2 engine in a 14 car or build a forged Gen1 F-150 engine with stage 3 cams. I heard Gen 2 motors are not compliant on 14 cars.
The Gen 2 motor has no problem going into a Gen 1 car. You just got to make sure. It's arguable as to whether or not you even have to make sure that you use the the Gen 1 cams because it will physically work. It's not ideal to run the Gen 2 cams on a Gen 1 controller. But if it was my setup, I'd be getting an F-150 pullout, whether that be Gen 1 or Gen 2, and building from that instead of building from a Mustang core, because everything that you're going to be using in terms of short block and heads is going to be the same Mustang to F-150, but you'll pay significantly more for a Mustang core than you will an F-150 core. You just got to make sure you swap the cams over correctly.
Jonathan came back. He's like, I'm sorry. I wasn't meaning to yell. I was in a design program. And he said that the race was awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a very close race. I shouldn't say close. He probably had half a car or car on me at the end of the run.
Ivan says, would you recommend I get a Gen 1 F-150 5.0 and build the motor, or a 15 plus?
I'd get either an 11-12 Gen 1 core, just for the block, having the head bolts or head studs thread all the way down into the mains, or I'd do a Gen 2 long block. If your cutoff is, if you're going to get a Gen 2 or Gen 1 core, try and avoid getting a 13-14 if you're doing it for big power like 1000 plus. And if you can't get a Gen 1 11-12, then get a 15-17 core.
Melvin says, great content, guys. I love the show.
I'm just going to start doing more spins as time goes on.
Robert says, we need a resting bitch face photo contest.
I have a vast majority of people beat, except for that one girl from Parks and Recreation. Yes, her. I think she beats me by a significant margin.
Joe Grice said, Joe, who had said that you look so happy, says he would be the same way.
Yeah.
And he's laughing his ass off. Kelsey says, what's your opinion on the DDR concepts, F-150s and Mustangs?
What is it?
What's your opinion on the DDR concepts, F-150s and Mustangs?
I'm not familiar with DDR concepts, F-150 or Mustangs. I can look them up after this, but I'm not familiar with them. James
says variable valve timing. Delete on a 12.50 twin turbo setup with M6550 M50 BEXH Boss 302 cams. Is there a target cam advance or retard on the block off plates, or leave it 0?
I would not delete TIVCT. Moral of the story. Especially on a twin turbo car. It's just silly.
Zach wants to know, or he says we should send him a free blower.
I think everyone would like that. Why don't we just do that for everyone? Let's do it.
I would.
It's called shipping.
I would. Why not give free blowers?
Everyone that's bought
employees?
anything from VMP, you get a free blower. That's going to be your whole marketing program. Just give away free blowers. And then we'll have more return customers coming back for free blowers. Unlimited quantity. Just change the quantity to like times 10 and start selling them yourself. Or no, actually give them away yourself.
Logan says, while we're at it, we should send him one too. And
exactly.
He's dying.
Everyone.
He's here. He's just laughing.
No bother.
Danny says...
Hey, we got 10 minutes left, guys. Like, share, and subscribe.
Danny says, I will be running a VMP 2650 blower on a 03 Cobra with a 2.8 upper E85 and stock lower with Mac long tubes and off-road X-pipe.
Good old reliable.
What boost level am I realistically looking at? Website states 23.
What size upper pulley and lower pulley did he say he was going to run?
2.8 upper and stock lower.
And did he say Gen 3 or Gen 2R or Gen 2 setup?
Gen 3. It's a 2650.
2.8 upper. I want to say you're going to be closer to 25 PSI peak with like at 5,800, 6,000 RPM, you'd probably be close to 23.
Josh Wiggins says down for the free blower.
Everybody's down for the free blower, Josh.
It's so funny.
Congrats on selling your car, by the way.
Slapshack says the GT500 in question is on Joe's channel, white with only rocker panel stripes. Wondering what gears and fuel system it had. The mods are similar to my car, 4-year-old video. Understand if you can't recall.
Yeah, if it's on my channel, that's Grant's car. And he said he was talking about the old setup before we did the built motor and stuff.
I think so.
The old setup was a Gen2 R with Heidi 1000s, stock pumps, boosters, really taxing that setup, and JLT 123mm cold air intake, the VMP Twin 67, ARH long tubes, 373 gear, and at the time he was on a 305 40 18 Nitto. He eventually went to an ET Pro and a weld setup, but what question did he have specifically about that setup?
I have to go back.
Or is he just wondering what the setup was?
I think he wanted to know what the setup was because it's similar. Hold on.
I want to say I put it in the description on that video, but I may not have.
I was looking through to go back up to see if I saw his question. Slapshack, just re-ask it if you would, and I'll just
What was the first car you did a burnout in?
That
is the real question here.
Restate it.
These are the questions we need answers to.
Here it is. It basically, yeah, is the white 13 GT500 on your channel yours? And can you tell us about it? So
yeah, that's
really,
not mine. It's my buddy Grant's car.
people are sitting there saying they're always down for sponsorships. If you're looking at a sponsorship,
Oh yeah, we're
emails.
always looking for people to sponsor. That's like our priority #1, giveaway blowers.
Ah. What do I drive,
That's not-
Logan?
Just
Logan?
to be clear, that's not our goal.
Logan, I drive an Exploder. So
She does a new Exploder, not like the original good old Firestone tired, rolling over, exploding, catching on fire.
I have two Exploders. I have
She's in the one that like you think is a cop when she's behind you, except not hers because it's silver.
So the worst one.
Yeah, the best one, depending on which viewpoint you're going
Which
for.
is funny because I pulled up into Chick-fil-A the other day, and sure enough, there was an Interceptor Exploder right in front of me with cop lights and
And
everything
what's
else.
funny about that is you think it's cool until you own something that people think is a cop car, and they do 5 under the speed limit in front of you and no passing zones, and it is infuriating.
Is there any differences from the Boss 302 motor and the 15 to 17 motors? My Boss is stock, and I raced my brother in his tuned cold air intake 15 GT Premium, and I beat him by 3 cars, and he has 373s also.
So the S550 engine is basically a knockoff copycat of a Boss engine without the male pistons. They put better cams, better heads, better rods, and that's kind of the gist of it into a stock Mustang engine. So they took all the stuff that they did awesome in the Boss 302, they made it a little cheaper to reproduce and put it in the S550.
Logan said it's better than a government motors car. And then
Yeah,
Tim is
that
like,
is
you
very
have
true.
2 WTF. Yeah, I have 2 Exploders, an older 2005 and then a 2014. And truth be told, I went to the International Car Show recently and was checking out, all the different cars there. And I really was like, thinking about going to something smaller, sportier. And then I sat into the new Exploder and I said, damn it.
You should have sat in a Lincoln,
I'm going to probably get another Exploder.
like one of the new Continentals or one of the new Navigators.
I also sat in this kick-ass 4Runner too. That was really nice that was there. But I still am going back to the Exploder for whatever reason. I haven't determined, but I like the one that was there. It was white and then it was all blacked out. And
Was it like the Tricoat pearly white?
yeah. And
That's how they got you.
so, hi Joe, I want to ask you on the Gen2 Coyote, would longer head bolts in combination with stronger oil pump gears and crank sprockets be the best way to make stock long block last under boost? The
issue isn't really the mains when you're just talking about lasting under boost. I I'd say that's only really a problem when you're up over like 1200 wheel. But if you're going to get a block and you're just getting a core block, at least start with one of those. But I would say that none of those are really going to help it with boost. Maybe the oil pump gear crank sprocket, still debatable, because you have people that live, or not people that live long lives, but engines that live long lives with boost, with stock oil pump crank sprocket, and then you have cars that live short lives with oil pump crank sprocket, not modified. And seemingly, very strangely, in Australia, there seems to be a high rate of failure of those.
Kyle wants to know, do we do header installs?
Yeah, we do header installs. But the Australians are also known for burnouts, so the limiter could be the killing factor there.
Big Dog says he's got a lowered 18, 2.9 Whipple supercharged Ford F-150 with Bell Tech kit. Can that throw off the geometry underneath and cause braking with anything on the truck with all the extra power?
If you do not have a set of long bars or a set of traction bars, I'd say start there.
So Zell says, my car sometimes dies on a ghost cam. Janssen50 says, sweet. Thanks for all your answers, and our channel is the best. Thank you.
Sweet.
Like,
if it's the
share,
best,
subscribe.
like, share, and subscribe. You guys got 2 minutes left.
I'm
gonna
working
spin.
on it.
I'm going to spin.
I'm trying to get us. Sorry. Derek says, I've noticed with some tuners, they don't tune using stock strategies when tuning. I've had 2 18 Whipple tunes from tuners that just change Whipple tune. Shouldn't they use the stock strategies?
Not necessarily, especially not on 18 up stuff.
Is there much benefit for 18 Mustang owners importing the intake manifold?
I would say that if you already have an 18 Mustang that already has an 18 manifold, that there's not a significant margin of benefit, because it's not like you already have the intake off, and it's not like it's an astronomical gain, but it is something that, as the internet would say, but it helps.
At what power level on the Gen 3 Coyote would one need head studs?
I'd say over that like 800-900 mark, it's not a bad idea to have head studs, because that's when people start stretching head bolts or start having head gasket issues.
Jonathan is talking about the video of Joe's truck versus my Fox race from his GoPro.
Yeah, Chris has that.
He said, thanks again, guys. Great job.
I think Jonathan's thirsty for a video.
I think he is too. I think that's a hint. Logan says, Cobra Jet or 18 ported? We have a video out on that.
If it's a race car, Cobra Jet.
Don't we?
If it's a street car that you're going to have hood clearance issues with the Cobra Jet, I'd say just go 18 manifold. Hey, it's time, guys.
Tina. Well, with that said, do you want to go ahead and wrap it up, or do you want to try and hit a couple more of these? You do have some more.
How many is a couple?
You have.
Because I know that a couple to me is 2.
No, you have a number here. Do you want to just go through maybe later and see if we can answer them
I probably
individually?
won't go through it later. So
Okay.
It's just rapid fire now.
All right, I'll go through here, and I'm gonna pick like maybe 3 more to do, and then we're gonna call it,
Okay.
because we have some other things we have to get done by the end of the day.
True story.
Genio says, okay, I have the tack installed with sheet metal screws through my dash in first gear. All it does is spin, and one of the heads, so I can clear it, pulls a 30-foot wheelie. My question is, should I shift into third gear, had to go to fourth?
I'd shift back to first gear. It's always a solid bet. If you want to put a valve straight through the piston, just do that.
Do we offer tunes for only basic Gen 1 NA upgraded 13 Coyotes?
Yeah, we do.
Keegan Daly says Gen 3, 85 millimeter pulley, long tubes, and 100 octane. Proper spark plug gap for something like this?
I'd go with a 28, 27 gap on something like that.
He's got brisk plugs. Is
Yep.
that- okay.
I'm familiar with Keegan. He's in one of our videos.
He is. 09 with Trinity 2.5 pulley, stock lower, 50-pound injectors, and twin 67 throttle bodies. Should I get fuel pump boosters?
What size upper pulley?
2.5 stock pulley, stock lower.
Yeah, is it... So this is a 13, 14, if he's saying...
09. 09 with Trinity.
Okay. Yeah, 2 boosters.
And this will be the last. Oh, 2 more. We'll do 2 more. Hi guys, Owen from UK. What torque converter would you recommend for my 17 Auto? Currently running 800 BHP through stock trans and Ford Performance Stiff. 355 gears. Cars was mapped by us. Roush Phase 2, 80 millimeter pulley, headers, and exhaust.
Depends on... Did he say rear gear?
355.
A 355 rear gear, I do like a 1C.
And then lastly, this will be the last question because I think it's a good one for you, Joe. Would you ever own a GT500? And if not, why?
Yes. And yes.
Yes and yes.
Yep.
All right.
Prefer 1112. If anyone wants to send one my way, I'm happy to take it off their hands. Preferably a 12.
And with that said, with all the questions that are still looming, we are going to call it a day.
Ah, man, I think Justin just finished his coffee too.
Oh,
He's
man.
just about to start talking.
Tune in Thursday night for Burnout Box. And if you have any suggestions or ideas for future shows, maybe guests that you'd like to see on, you can send me an email. I will put it in the comments, and we'll see what we can do to make that happen.
And if you want to see more of my RVF, make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Yes. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, guys.
Have fun, guys.